Hey fight fans, you're listening to BTR Boxing Podcast with me, Sean Bastow, and our co-host, Geordie Neild. Before we begin the episode, there's a couple of things that I want you to do. I want you to go onto Apple Podcast, subscribe. If you're not on Apple and you're on Android instead, go to someone like Podbean or Castbox and subscribe to us on there. Find all our latest episode, like the ones to watch, like the Legendary Nights and the Life and Times of, and the new series, The Promoter Life. Also, make sure you find us on Twitter at BTR Boxing Pod and Facebook BTR Boxing Podcast. I also want to take the opportunity to give a shout out to our sponsor for the podcast, which is Bear Attack Boxing. Bear Attack Boxing are a new company in the industry who specialise in high quality boxing gloves. So I want you to go over and have a quick look at their website, which is www.barattackboxing.co.uk. If you're looking for some new gloves for the new year, new me start, you want to get over there and get some of their high quality products. You can get a discount up until the 12th of January by entering the code BAB2019 for a discount on them high quality gloves. You can also find them at Attack Boxing on Twitter and on Facebook, Bear Attack Boxing. Enjoy the episode, fight fans. Welcome fight fans to episode number 2 of The Promoter Life, and today we're going to be interviewing MTK London's Lee Eaton, the man that's come from the white collar circuit promoting white collar charity shows to now working for one of the big promotional companies in the world and putting on some of the great small hall shows in current times. We're also going to be finding out where he started out, why he got into the boxing scene, why he decided to go down the promoting route, how he's worked his way up from them white collar shows up to MTK shows and the small hall shows that he's currently doing. We're also going to find out some of the great fights he's seen on the small hall circuit at the moment, and just generally find out what goes on in Lee Eaton's life and find out what it's like for the promoter's life. So I'm delighted to say I've got Mr. MTK London, Lee Eaton, on the phone. Thanks for coming on, Lee. Really appreciate your time this evening.
No problems, mate. Hope you're well.
Yeah, really well. Really enjoying some of the stuff you're doing recently at the MTK London shows, and glad to have you on to talk about where you are at the moment. But first of all, where you came from. And I think there's a lot of people on the circuit that will probably want to know what your background is and how you got into it if they don't already know you. So talk me through it, Lee. Where did this all start?
Basically, obviously, I've always been a big fan of boxing and that, but my best mate was John Wayne Hibbert. I've been with him from day one for his pro career, through obviously battle and stuff like that. So I've always been around boxing and that, but one of my mates died in 2012, and so the last conversation I had was about going to one of Wayne's fights. So I'd done a charity show for him in remembrance of him. Sold it out, about 800 people, raised about 10 grand for charity, so I thought, this could be a little thing. Just carried it on, and it just snowballed. So I've done about 70 shows, raised about 150 grand for Glover, kids, local kids and stuff like that. But the MTK link-up happened, a couple of years ago at Wayne's fights. I met the MTK boys after the show, because obviously Tommy Martin was MTK. I had a quick chat with them, and then my mate Adam rang me about 8 months later and said, look, do you want to have a meeting about starting MTK London? And it's just gone from there, really.
So did you ever have any experience prior to putting the white collar shows on and the charity shows on about actually doing this type of thing?
Nothing. Just winged it, and it just sort of worked. And then once I'd done one, I got the bug for it, and then I was just very, very passionate about it. Just absolutely spammed my social media. People were probably blocking me and everything, because everything was about boxing. But I built up EBA Boxing, which I built up to quite, for unlicensed, I built up to quite a high standard, and shows were very, very good, and they were basically run near enough like a professional show. All the top healthcare and all, like ambulances, doctors, within good fights and like good medical, good like referees and everything like that. So everybody was on them, so they were very good shows. So that's where I just built up from there and just got my knowledge from there. But I've always followed like the professional game, always been around it with Wayne to it on Eddie Earn shows, Frank Warren shows and stuff like that. So I've always just I'll just study something and I've just been on it.
So basically, like, you're a big fan, like myself. You've done something, because of a tragic incident that's happened as part of your life, losing a friend, and then it's just turned into something magical, really. Because now you're with, MTK. You're kind of the face and the mouthpiece of MTK London, and over the past 18 months, you're just getting more and more people talking about the MTK London shows and how good they are, and the quality of the fights on there are getting better and better, and they're very evenly matched fights. And I know recently I seen one of the journalists, Oliver McManus, doing a piece for Big Right Up, and he's talking about putting you in there as one of the small hall promoters of 2018.
Yeah, no, listen, I would never be in the professional game if it weren't for MTK Global, so I've got to thank them for what they've obviously putting their trust in me and giving me all the support and everything. It wouldn't be done without. It's a big organisation, but it's a proper team. Everyone covers backs, and they're all. Without everyone, it wouldn't be happening. Do you know what I mean? So it's been exciting 18 months, to be honest. With something that I could never dream of. Do you know what I mean? So it's been good. I see that. Got a small promoter of the year. Amazing, really. Because I've only had my license about 6 months in July. So
you've really made an impression so quickly into the promoting side of things. And what's that transition been like then? Going from putting on the white collar shows, the unlicensed shows, to then going and doing the professional shows. Is it because you've got a big team behind you, being able to provide the support to get to this level?
Yeah, it's been alright, really. It's a lot more headache. Obviously, you got obviously the role there. The matching's harder. Trying to do your costings, making sure your budgets and stuff like that. So it's a lot harder, but it's worked well. And it seems like with the team we've got, it just our results over the last 18 months just prove that where we're going with that. From shows all up and down the country, Scotland, Belfast, Manchester, we've done Coventry, we've done all over. So it's exciting what's going to happen now in 2019. So glad to be part of a good team. And
I noticed as well that you seem to get to practically every MTK show that there is, although you're kind of classed as the MTK London guy. You're there at every show, aren't you? Literally every MTK show, just being a part of it.
Yeah, because obviously me and Ian Ritchie, who's basically one of my partner with the event side, I'm the actual events manager with Ian for the whole of MTK Global. So basically, we organise every show from top to bottom, like the ins and outs of the show. So that's why me and Ian are at every show.
What's been the most difficult part so far of the journey?
Matching. That's my daily headache, the matching, because I do pretty much all the matching for MTK Global shows now, so that's my biggest headache at the minute.
What experiences have you had with the matching where you've just thought to yourself, for God's sake, how are we going to get this sorted? Is there any instances? I mean, I'm not asking you to name names of fighters or anything like that, but I mean instances where you think to yourself,
it's some of the trainers, and the trainers are more hard work than the fighters these days. I ain't going to go into anything.
So it's been a bit of it has been a learning journey, hasn't it? Every show you've been a part of has been a learning curve, and you've always been able to take away something from each show to say, actually, I might do something different the next time, and each time the quality of the shows seems to be improving. Yeah,
every show you learn. Like they say to a boxer always improves and never stops learning. But promoting, you never ever stop learning, because there's always something different that comes up. When I first obviously started, I was thinking, this is like a piece of piss. But then you think, fucking hell, do you know what I mean? Things get harder and harder. You think, Jesus Christ, especially when you start doing obviously the TV, the Box Nation shows and stuff like that. You got deadlines and stuff like that. It just all gets it's a bit hard, but if you do something you love, it ain't a job, is it?
No, I cannot disagree with you at all with that, because that is exactly why I do what I do. I love what I do, and when you love what you do, it isn't working. You've said it, you've hit the nail on the head. Going back, Lee, to obviously what you've done so far and the fighters you've been involved with, what would you say over the past 18 months has probably been the best fight night you've been involved in so far?
My best show that I loved most was the first York Hall show in July, where we sold out York Hall, absolutely rammed in there. That was my favourite show, but it's been good because obviously I've been involved in the promotion for WBC, IBF, WBA and WBO, like regional titles this year, and being a part for the British title, Ian Butcher versus Castro, that was a part of, because obviously British title is very prestigious and that, but being part of Charlie Edwards' being there, that was something very special. That was quite brilliant.
Would you say that's probably the best part of it so far on the journey, the Charlie Edwards win?
I wouldn't say it's the best, but it was up there. Obviously the hard work, the emotion that everyone went through that night. It was good to be a part of.
What would you say would be the best fight you've seen on some of these small hall shows that you've been involved in? Billy Bird versus Harper as well. They were both good on that. Saki versus Osgood was good as well. Yeah, it's hard to think of all the fights. There's been so many lately. I know, that's the thing, isn't it? It is hard to pinpoint on one specific fight where you can honestly say that's the one that's made a huge impression. I
think I was at like 22 shows last year, like for MTK Global, so it's hard to pick an actual. And then the year before, it was like 10, 30 odd shows in the last 18 months or 2 years, so it's hard to pick one from that.
So what does 2019 hold then for you?
Well, 2019 MTK Global, I've got the MTK Global Live, which is going to be on the IFL, like the stream. Got 24 Premier fight dates, which every single show is going to have a good main event, top matters and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things going on at the minute, which will be announced soon for the shows. So 2019 is going to probably look at about 28 shows global, so very busy.
Yeah, sounds it as well. It sounds like you're going to have a bit more of a headache this year than last year anyway, put it that way.
Yeah, lots of headache, lots of time away from the family, but
What's it like then? Obviously, I know you've got a young family, and I know obviously, I see the stuff on social media you put out, and it must be really difficult being a family man and having to sacrifice that much time away from your family.
Yeah, it is very difficult, especially when your little ones are growing up and that. Now my little boy's 4 now, so he's like, he goes, "Oh, Daddy, why do you have to go to work?" And work. Someone's got to go out and pay the bills, so earn money to pay the bills. So it is what it is. You just got to get on with it. Hopefully, it'll be well.
And ultimately, now you've probably not had time to think about it all, but if you kind of take yourself out of the situation for just a moment, what for you would be your ultimate goal in promoting a show?
World title fight.
So like a huge, like a real marquee name.
To put on a world title fight would be pretty special.
And over the course of 2018, like I said earlier, we've seen some brilliant shows. We've seen some brilliant fights. You're getting put up for awards left, right, and centre. By obviously other media outlets and journalists that are out there. But for you, how much does all of it mean, given where you've come from to where you are now?
I mean, massive. I would, like I said before, I wouldn't be nowhere without obviously BTR Global, without their support and their backing and stuff like that, and being involved, putting me in charge of these shows and stuff like that. But it's mad considering where I come from, like 5-6 years ago, from Grey Civic Hall. Big venues that we've been doing, the Emirates Arena and stuff like that. It's just mad. But it's like I said, it's all part of the team, and it's it's going to be good. It's going to be brilliant. It's exciting for the next couple of years.
One of my big life sort of goals, being inside the boxing media aspects of the game, is to be able to cover a fight from somewhere like Las Vegas, like a big fight weekend. As someone who's like an events manager and promoter, where would be your biggest goal to get to in terms of putting a show on?
Promote at the O2.
So doing like a big, like you said earlier, a world title fight at the O2.
World title fight at the O2. That's the goal. I was there the other night for Dillian White's show, and I've done a little video and put in goals. Do you know what I mean? That's what you want to be doing as obviously big shows.
Yeah, absolutely, and it feels like to me.
And I believe with the backing, obviously with the team MTK, I believe it will happen. I like the way that they've grown since obviously last 2 years, even the last 2 years. The way they're growing, I believe that big things are on the horizon.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way anyway. I mean, I've obviously been involved about 18 months myself in the media side of things, and I've watched people like yourself grow and more shows going on and more people getting involved on social media. And one of the things I wanted to ask you was about like all the social media aspects of stuff that you're involved in. Like, I've seen a few instances where you've kind of just, there's fighters are having a bit of a bitch with each other, and you just kind of wade in and just put one comment, and it just kind of like everyone just seems to shut up, like if it's something to do with an argument over who pulled out over what fight, and then you just kind of seem to wade in and just like, look, this is how it is, this is what's actually happened, and this is how it's going to be. And there's a lot of people out there that don't really give promoters credit for, they always say, oh, promoters do this or they don't do that, but obviously I've seen you firsthand get involved and just sort of tell it how it is, really.
That's how you got to be truthful in this game. There's a lot of snakes in boxing. I've learned that over the last 2 years. And you just got to be real. So that's you got to be, isn't you? That's how you got to do in life. And obviously, it don't matter even if it is boxing. You still got to, whatever your job is, you still got to bring that.
And in general, then, in boxing at the moment, who would you say would be the fighter that most excites you going into 2019?
What, our fighters?
Yeah, just one of the prospects you've got at the moment in 2019. Who is it that really sort of gets you thinking, actually, this guy's going to really, really do well and go far?
The public nuisance, Sean McComb, is going to be a beast. There's loads of them. I couldn't really name. Obviously, Dan Aziz. We've got obviously Danny Dignam. Prospects. But one of our favourite fighters at the minute is Sultan Zerbek, the Kazakh. I believe that kid's absolutely special. He's going to be an absolute star.
When you putting all these shows on and promoting all these different fighters and trying to get them all out there and get them on the shows, is as a fan yourself, as being a fan and being involved in boxing from day dot, how satisfying is it for you when you see these guys come up trumps, in a big sort of local area fight where maybe they're sort of 50-50 or they're not expected to win? How satisfying is it to see that?
Yeah, no, it's really like obviously I've jumped for that. Like when you see like Eddie with Carl Froch and stuff like that, I get as excited as that before some of the boys. Like Shaquille Day the other day got his first stoppage, and I was absolutely over the moon. I think I was more happy for him than he was. You know what I mean? Like, it is good. You do grow close to the fighters as well. Obviously, you're speaking with them every day and stuff like that. So you get with them, sort of thing.
So really, I think, sort of rounding up our conversation, you've given me everything from day dot to where we are now. Apart from MTK Global, is there anyone else or any other people out there that you'd probably want to give a shout out, or more like a thanks to for the support they've given you on this journey, Lee?
You know what? For advice, Greaves gave me a lot of advice when I started. Obviously, I've known Cole through with obviously John Wayne and that. He was a matchmaker for nearly a year. Brilliant. learnt a lot from him. And there's loads of people. The one that needs Paul and Ian for putting up with me every day.
Tell you what, Lee, it's been a pleasure to speak to you and actually get 20 minutes with you to be able to find a bit more out about the journey, because I only know bits and bats from what I've read and what I've seen and brief conversations we get to have, and it's nice to kind of find out a little bit more about where you've come from, where you are and where you're planning to go this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing what shows you put on in 2019 and what you're a part of, and you know, I'm excited to see where it actually takes you as a promoter. You know, are we going to see you in another two years' time jumping in the ring like Eddie Earn?
You never know.
Well, Lee,
I'm just excited to be on the journey with the team MTK Global and see where it takes us. So it's just exciting stuff.
It is. Well, Lee, I really appreciate you coming on. Really appreciate you taking the time out to speak
no problems,
to me.
Mate.
And thanks so much. And good luck for 2019. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we will cross paths at some point. But good luck for 2019, and thanks for coming on.
Cheers, buddy. Take care.
So there we go. I hope you've really enjoyed that episode with MTK London's Lee Eaton, telling us about how he came from the white collar shows, coming into MTK. Only been a promoter for 6 months officially, but obviously been working for them as an events manager for quite a while, and he's doing really, really well, and I'm glad to see someone succeeding in the game, such as Lee, and he's a nice guy. I've met him. He's a genuinely decent person, says it how he thinks it, and that's what we all want out of guys that are promoting shows these days, instead of the bullshit that a lot of people pull. So fair play to you, Lee. So, if you have enjoyed this particular episode of The Promoter Life, then please go on to Apple Podcasts and subscribe. Leave us a rating, preferably 5 stars. Leave us a review. Or, if you use any of the other podcasting apps out there, Podbean, Spreaker, Stitcher, Player FM, any of the main ones out there, then please go on there, follow us on there, leave us a comment, like the stuff that we put out there, because it really helps. And even just listening to this last 10 seconds of me telling you this helps. It really does help, especially when we're not this big Sky Sports company or BBC 5 Live. We haven't got the backing to be able to get up in the rankings the way they have, because people know them, people know the industry. So if you get the opportunity to go and do it, please, you're supporting up and coming podcast and up and coming business, so please get on there and do that. Again, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Promoter Life. See you next time, fight fans.